Hi everybody, Brandon Simmons here. I'm filling in for Stephanie Haney with your digital update for the day. Today is Thursday, May 7th, and it's about 11 a.m., a little afterish. And we want to just get you guys updated on what's going on around Ohio. Also, a little bit of stories from around the country. First off, we want to start off with the latest coronavirus numbers. We do have the numbers from yesterday, May 6th, as of that 2 p.m. update. Now, remember, Governor Mike DeWine did not actually give an update yesterday because he said he wanted us to kind of focus on what was going on in the state legislature. However, the Ohio Department of Health does continue to give us the latest numbers at 2 p.m. regardless of whether there's that daily briefing from the governor or not. So we do know that as of yesterday, there are now a total of 21,576 confirmed cases, and we also have 1,225 deaths. Of course, we like to put that in perspective for you every day. Of course, from to May 6th, from May 5th, that's 607 new cases, and that's a spike of 102 cases from the day that from May 5th, which we had saw the day before. So this is one of the larger spikes that we've seen in about a week's time. May 1st, there were 716 new cases. Again, that's 607 new cases today. And then back on April 29th is when we saw 138 deaths. And of course, the numbers yesterday showed us that there were about 90. So again, what we're trying to do is just flatten that curve. And of course, I think right now we're starting to see where we've hit that plateau area where the numbers kind of hover. They go day to day, but things aren't getting significantly worse. And of course, that's what we would be worried about, is if these numbers spike much higher than what we've seen happen already in the past. And so far, we're not seeing that. Also, one more important thing to note is we don't know exactly the number of the amount of tests that are being done day to day. So the numbers that we're seeing could be that there's an increase in tests, but that's not something we have the answer to. Hopefully the Ohio Department of Health can shed some light on that. But again, the numbers right now, 21,576 confirmed cases, 1,225 deaths. Again, the numbers have not spiked significantly from what we've seen over the last week or so, and that's a good thing. Hopefully we can start to see things trend downward. Of course, that's what we're looking for in these coronavirus cases. Now, the next thing I want to tell you guys about, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine says he expects to announce plans to open new industries starting this afternoon. That's something people have looked forward to. We're talking about restaurants, we're talking about daycares, and we are also talking about personal services as well, such as barbershops and beauty salons, spas, those sorts of things. There's a couple advisory boards that were put together by Ohio Governor Mike DeWine to kind of help him shape how he wants to reopen those different industries. So I spoke to a couple people yesterday who are on those advisory boards about what they were tasked to do. And there were about 30 to 40 on each of those two boards, one for restaurants, one for personal services. And they say that the governor's goal is just to kind of get recommendations from everyone on how we can safely reopen and keep people safe at the same time, whether you're an employee or a customer. So I do know that those boards were able to submit their recommendations to the governor on Tuesday. That was a couple of days ago. And now today we hope to hear some plans from the governor as far as how and when those businesses will be able to reopen. Now, again, the recommendations that were made by those boards is not a guarantee. It doesn't mean that they're going to open soon. It's just exactly that, the recommendations and simply what those groups are hopeful for. Now, I will say that the two people that I spoke to who were on those boards said that they thought the process was very good. They think that the state's leaders are handling the process very well. However, they want to be back open. Obviously, financially, they've been hurting as of late, and they would like to be able to get back in business and, of course, still be able to do so safely. So that's something that we know the governor is expected to announce today at his 2 p.m. briefing is how those businesses will be able to reopen. Now, one other thing that has happened in recent days, we know that the state legislature has been meeting, and one thing they've put forth is a bill to actually limit the powers of Dr. Amy Acton. So a lot of people think that she's gone too far and thinks that the stay-at-home order is a little bit too much. Of course, that stay-at-home order has been in effect since March 23rd, and a lot of people want to see that change. So the Ohio House did pass a bill that said they would limit the power of Dr. Acton, and now it goes forward to the Ohio Senate. Now, we will say that Governor Mike DeWine has spoken out on this already. He says if either of those bills, no matter who passes it, if it makes it to his desk, he will veto it. So he's saying that no matter what the legislature is doing, if it gets to his desk, it's going to stop right there. He is not a fan of limiting the power of Dr. Acton, believing that she is simply doing what is right to keep the public safe. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out and how far it goes. To see the battle between our state's leaders in terms of how much power they want Dr. Acton to have. And then, of course, Mike DeWine saying that he's going to veto it at his desk. So that's something to look out for over the next couple of days. A little bit more COVID news we're talking about is the unemployment numbers. We do know that as of late, we've seen in the last 7 weeks, 1.11 million Ohioans who have filed for unemployment. Now, keep in mind, Ohio's population is a little less than 12 million total. So we're talking about 1 out of every 12 people filing for unemployment over the last 7 weeks. And we do know that that number is more than the combined total of the last 3 years, people who have applied for unemployment. So obviously a lot of people hurting during this period of unemployment. And again, that's why you may be seeing that push by legislature to kind of limit the powers of Dr. Acton, because a lot of people are trying to get back to work. So obviously it's kind of an interesting balance between the economy and unemployment, things like that, and of course health and public safety. So that's one more thing we've been keeping an eye on, is watching those unemployment numbers rise. Also, one thing we've seen is there's been a struggle for a lot of people to apply for unemployment over the last few weeks. A lot of people saying the systems are down. But continue to go online, keep trying to file that unemployment as much as you can so that you can get into the system. So we expect to see those numbers actually rise because a lot of people aren't able to get through. So that's something we'll be paying attention to. Now I want to shift over to a story that's non-COVID related. A Cleveland man was arrested for the murder of a Barbara Blatnik from a 1987 cold case in Cuyahoga Falls. So detectives have been working on this case ever since, and the man that was arrested is 67-year-old James Zastonik of Cleveland. So he was arrested Wednesday for the rape and murder of 17-year-old Barbara, who they call Barbie Blatnik, near Blossom Music Center in Cuyahoga Falls. Now, the suspect was found using some new DNA technology. This is something that was part of the Porchlight Project. And the Porchlight Project was started by James Renner. James Renner is a writer who we partnered with on our series Amy Should Be 40. Amy Should Be 40. And he helped out with that story for us. And he also started the Porchlight Project, which kind of goes back and looks at DNA evidence and sees if there's any cases where it can be used to help solve crime. So, of course, this is a good thing. The family has responded. We have more information about this story and the arrest and the history of that 1987 cold case. That's on our website, wkyc.com. One other story we're talking about, obviously good news. We want to keep our healthcare workers in good spirits. And one way we've seen that happen is that there have been these different flyovers that have happened over the last week or so around the United States and right here in Northeast Ohio. We had our first one on Monday, and now we're hearing again that there will be a second flyover in Northeast Ohio for healthcare workers, and that will happen in a different area from the first time. So we're talking further south, Akron, Canton, and a little bit further east of there into the Mahoning Valley, Youngstown, and even in the parts of PA. So we know that the Air Force plans to hold a second flyover, and it's just to kind of keep people in good spirits. It's always a good thing. I mean, hey, if you know the Air Force is doing a flyover for you, that's got to be really cool. And of course, we really, really, really want to thank our healthcare workers for all the hard work they're doing every day. They're walking into sometimes dangerous situations to make sure that all of us are safe and healthy. My wife's a healthcare worker, so I understand it. She's still going in every day. So we really, really thank you guys for all the work you're doing. And hopefully this Air Force salute is one of those things that helps keep you all in good spirits. Also, I want to shift over to some nation news now. Neiman Marcus has filed for bankruptcy amid the coronavirus outbreak. They're a luxury retailer, and they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they're the first department store to do so amid the pandemic. Of course, we did hear about J. Crew, which is not a department store, saying they were also having issues. We know that Gap has reported they're having some cash flow problems. So a number of different retailers are trying to find out ways to kind of survive this whole pandemic, and I know one way to do it is through bankruptcy. So they plan to close down or do some financial restructuring while substantially reducing their debt load at the same time. So we'll have to pay attention to see if any other retailers follow suit. But again, Neiman Marcus is the first department store to file for bankruptcy amid this coronavirus outbreak. Now, to a couple sports stories real quick, and then I'll get out of your way. First off, we heard yesterday the Indians are hoping to play on July 1st. I've been hurting for some sports, so I'm looking forward to that. Honestly, if baseball can start up July 1st, I'll take it. I'm not sure if that's something that we can guarantee or what it will look like, but at least we know that they're planning on it, so that would be nice if we can get some sports action come July. And then some real quick news from our local championship UFC fighter, Stipe Miocic. He said he's willing to fight DC again, DC being Daniel Cormier. Obviously, the two have fought twice now. Both of them have a win, of course, and now Stipe Miocic is the champion, of course. But he says he's not going to make that fight unless he gets a chance to fully train. And of course, we know his gym, which is in Independence, Ohio, Strong Style, it is closed at the moment. So he's not able to spar with anybody. He's not doing any training. Everybody's kind of following that stay-at-home order from Dr. Acton. So he says if he's able to train, if he's able to make sure he's in tip-top shape, he's willing to go at it again with Daniel Cormier. Of course, we give him our best wishes. We know Stipe's one of the first responders here in our neighborhoods. He works for a couple local fire departments, and he says he puts that first before fighting. So he wants to help take care of us. He's just an all-around good guy. I've met him before. We've met down at Strong Style, and he's a heck of a fighter too, obviously. So we wish him the best. We hope he can get training soon, and hopefully we can see that another bout between him and Daniel Cormier soon. Again, the more sports we can have, the happier I'll be. I know that for sure, and maybe the happier you'll be too. So that's our 11 a.m. update. We've got more stuff coming for you down the pipe later on today, maybe around 2 p.m. Of course, stick with us on our social media platforms and also on WKYC.com, where we have the latest information for you on news throughout the day. I'm Brandon Simmons, filling in for Stephanie Haney on WKYC.com. See you later. Enjoy your day.